So I wanted to make a video for you guys to show you how to be a little more targeted in your sourcing, and Smart Scout allows for you to do that. I'm over here on the brand section, and it shows you the Amazon in-stock rate, and we're looking at this at the brand level. And so what it's doing is it's estimating monthly revenue by the brand, meaning every sub thing within the brand is adding up to this total value. So one of the issues is when you're starting out doing RA or OA, the stock rate with Amazon, you could just keep hitting items that have Amazon in the listing, and that's no good because you're not going to be able to compete with them on price since they get it for so low. So what we can do using Smart Scout is we can look at, say, grocery as an example, and set our Amazon in-stock rate to 0%, so we're never competing with them because their pricing is usually better than what we can get. And then we're going to set our minimum number of average sellers to 4. And the reason we want to do it at 4 is because we're trying to eliminate brands where it's private label. So normally they won't have any other sellers on it, and one of the telltale signs is 1 or 2 sellers on the listing. And not only that, they're either going to kick you off or you're not going to be able to compete with them on price anyway. So let's go ahead and avoid them. So we can go ahead and search this, and what we're left with is these top brands where Amazon doesn't stock. So now knowing this, if you go to Trader Joe's, you know that everything that you do get a match on, you're not going to have to worry about Amazon as a competitor. One of the things that this isn't going to tell you, though, is that if any of these brands do IP complaints, and the other issue, too, that you need to be checking for is if the dominant seller, in this case, look at Chosen Foods, that's the brand itself selling on the platform. So you're probably not going to want to be able to, you're not going to want to compete against that because your price point probably is not going to beat the vendor itself. And so knowing that, since Trader Joe's is like a grocery store chain, we can go ahead and click and look at the products on there. And so this is going to tell us the top ASIN by monthly revenue over here. And so then the idea is, the item exists, and now it's just going backwards and finding it. And so your starting point is knowing that the ASIN exists, and you're trying to find the product now. And that's a lot better than going and, say, throwing everything against a wall and seeing what sticks. And that's more or less kind of what you're doing when you do a UPC search at random. And so then what it's going to come down to is your ability to manufacture margin and make these things profitable. And so applying this strategy to other brands, we can look at it in beauty, applying the same filters. Bath & Body Works as a brand as a whole potentially does up to 7.5 million in revenue a month. So that's pretty crazy. But look at the second one, Dr. Squatch. These guys issue IP complaints, so I would avoid that one. I don't know how to pronounce this, IT Cosmetics. Amazon's not a seller in there, and average number of sellers is 3.8. So that's a category where you're probably going to hit a lot of pay dirt, and you don't have to worry about competing with either the brand or the Amazon. And lastly, on clothing and shoes, you'll see that Nike's the top brand. I think On running shoes or one of these brands issues IP complaints, so that's the other due diligence you'll have to work on. But one of the cool things you can do, going back to the grocery example, is you could load up Trader Joe's as a brand on Keep a Product Finder, export the entire brand, run it through tactical arbitrage on a reverse search, and then, you're starting with your fixed point, and now you're having confirmed matches. And then it's just going to come down to vetting the products to see if they're profitable or not, or if you can manufacture the margin to get it to where it needs to be.